All right, on to the sequel to Donnie Darko.
Yep.
Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Hello, welcome to A Couple of Flicks. I am Tristan.
I am Nick.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are talking about another film on the bottom 100. And it is entry number 89, which is S.Darko, or as I've been kind of obnoxiously calling it throughout the week, S.Darko.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's obnoxious at all.
Good.
They should have just called it that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm assuming the S is for Sam or Samantha, or whatever the main character's name was.
Yeah.
Samantha Darko. So, it is I want to say 2010 release.
09.
Okay. 2009 release sequel to the
okay.
yeah.
No, you keep going first and then I'll ask my questions.
Yeah, no worries. It is 2009 sequel to the cult film Donnie Darko. So, which I'm assuming have both of you seen that movie?
Yeah, a few times.
Okay, cool.
All right. So my questions were: when was Donnie Darko made? Was that made in? Because that took place in '88. Was it made like around that time too? Right.
Well, Donnie Darko, it was made in 2001, and I think it took place in sometime in the 80s. I want to say
so. It took place in because there was that title scroll in the beginning of this. Yeah. It said that it was in '88. And then 7 years later is when this one took place, which was 95, July 4th. Basically July 4th, 95. So.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I remember because I rewatched Donnie Darko just in preparation to watch this, just because I don't know, I like to do that with these.
Okay, here's because I haven't seen it. My question. Quick question: is it an apocalypse film, or does it just have to do with the jet thing?
It's the first one is it's basically it has to do with the jet engine,
but the world isn't ending like in this one.
No, there is sort of an ominous atmosphere about something coming to an end, but it's not really. It's the kind of movie where like you don't really quite find out why until the end, and then when it ends the way it does, it's like, oh, okay, now it makes sense, So. But this film sort of kind of goes for a different vibe. Well, actually, it kind of doesn't, though. That's the thing.
No, not really.
Yeah.
From what I remember, it's fairly similar to the first one, honestly.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it was kind of made by people who saw the first film like in the background, and weren't really paying attention to it, but like got the general gist of it.
They got like the sci-fi elements, but not necessarily the meanings behind all the crazy shit, really.
Pretty much, yeah. Because like the thing that kind of bums me out a little bit about the first movie is sort of its reputation. Like a lot of people sort of consider it to be sort of like a really mysterious film that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But the thing is, like, it actually does make sense. You just kind of have to be paying attention to it.
I thought that's what I thought too, is when people were talking about it and stuff is like, when it first came to popularity, I was like, they were all saying, oh, it's so confusing. It takes multiple watches to get. I got it in my first watch. I was like, it's not that confusing. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe for the general audience of dum-dums, but I don't know. It was fairly, not straightforward, but it was followable, I'd say.
Agreed. And I saw this movie when I was like the first movie I saw, I must have been at least 13, and I wasn't exactly a smart 13-year-old,
yeah,
but I could follow it. I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah, I saw it in high school sometime, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch this multiple times. I was like, and I was kind of disappointed that I didn't have to. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I got it. I don't know what everyone else is.
Yeah, it's
So
it's a little complex, but it's not that complex. It's just, if you understand like sort of the basic idea of what time travel is, yeah, and what like time paradoxes are and all that stuff, then yeah. Really the only thing that makes the first Donnie Darko kind of odd is the fact that it's about time travel, and it also happens to be about like high schoolers. That's kind of those sort of two concepts sort of gel in sort of an unusual way, but that's kind of what made the first film sort of interesting, in my opinion. So yeah, but Zach, you said you've seen the first one, and I don't know, what are your general thoughts on it?
It's good, definitely. I think it's overrated.
Yeah, 100%.
The amount people talk about it, I think they just talk about it because, like you said, they don't understand it.
Yeah. And then I think it was also sort of like the first, I guess, like quote unquote weird movie that a lot of people our age saw too. Like,
yeah.
Which that might have, which I mean, I think for folks like us, like we grew up like watching a lot of like unusual films, and so like I think a lot of folks that maybe didn't grow up watching as many unusual films as we did probably saw Donnie Darko and thought that it was kind of more groundbreaking than it actually was. It's more just kind of like a quirky, interesting, deeper than average sort of like little film that is enjoyable, and I liked it, so I could see why why it would mean something to a lot of people. So.
And was this the first one successful upon release, or did it just get a cult following years later?
It got a cult following. It actually came out kind of at an unfortunate time. It came out sort of around like 9/11, and like it had to do with like jet engine stuff, and like there was a lot of, and it didn't really quite find its audience until
that might hamper some things.
Yeah. So
like Spider-Man not being able to catch those helicopters between the twin towers.
Yeah. And also so this sequel to Donnie Darko, there's a sequel that I think I'd heard about it. Actually, I think it was I don't know if you remember, but Corey, he'd seen the first one, and he was the one who actually told me that they were making a sequel. So the first time I ever actually even heard about the existence of this movie was from him. So, which is just kind of interesting.
I think I just heard it on the internet that it sucked. I just like, there's a sequel, for movie form or something, and the sequel to Donnie Darko sucks. Just that kind of shit. I think that's the first time I heard of it.
Yeah. I when I lived in Kansas, I actually did. I think I rented this sequel, and I because I know that there was a time when I started to watch it, and I think I got like 20 or 30 minutes into it, and it just irritated me so much that I had to turn it off, and I'm like, I'll watch it another day, I'll table it.
Yeah.
And now the day has come where I've watched it. So.
Oh, was this your first watching of it then?
Yeah. Well, the first time I've sat through the whole thing.
Did you see it before, Zach?
No.
Okay. Word.
Yeah, I knew it was trash, so held off.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, yeah, but we gave it a shot anyway, just to say we could, just to say we did. I mean, and yeah. It well, okay. Do you want to read the plot summary?
All right.
That might make it a little easier to sort of like springboard the discussion.
Yeah. 7 years after the death of Donnie Darko, a young man troubled by hallucinations about doomsday, his now 18-year-old sister Samantha Darko joins her best female friend Corey. I don't know why I had to say that, but on a road trip.
Corey is a, if they're just reading it, Corey's a boy and girl name.
True.
So, I mean.
That's funny.
On a road trip from Virginia to California, when their car breaks down in a tiny Utah town, they are helped by the town's bad boy, Randy.
This guy, so I wrote down, he looked a lot like Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
With like a dash of Ezra Miller. Playing a James Dean character.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. It's like a stereotypical 50s like bad boy type character.
Yeah, there's like even a scene or two where he had like the cigarettes like rolled up in his sleeve. It was like,
yeah,
that's James Dean. He looked like James Dean, but Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. Robert Millard.
Yeah. Or Ezra Pattinson.
Ezra Pattinson, yeah. Which, although actually speaking of cast, one thing I will give this movie credit for is the fact that they did recast they didn't recast, but they cast the same actor who played the sister in the first movie.
I was wondering because I didn't even remember a sister in the first movie, honestly.
Oh yeah, well, she didn't really do a whole lot in the first film, but she like there's a scene where she did the dancing competition, but that doesn't really have to do with the plot until later on in the movie.
I remember that actually. That was okay. I do remember that, and that's what she had a flashback of that.
Yeah.
Was that was that actually cut from the first movie and put in, or?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
so they pulled a Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 and reused footage.
At least there was only that one like 5-second clip.
Yeah, at least they didn't just recycle the whole damn movie and then call it a sequel.
I mean, they basically did with the plot, but
yeah, well, yeah, that's true. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. All right, go
on. The pair meet eccentric locals and learn that a local boy, Billy Moorcroft, has gone missing. Samantha is still struggling with her brother's death and his sleepwalking. While wandering, she meets a homeless veteran with PTSD named Justin. As the pair...
Oh, wait, is he... I'm sorry for interrupting. Is that... Wait, Justin. Oh, wait, okay, I was thinking of Iraq Jack. Okay, never mind, go on.
No, that is him, right?
I don't know. That confused me.
Oh, no, Iraq Jack is the veteran, and I thought Justin was that nerd with the glasses that was like hitting on Sam.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That grabbed the meteorite and shit in the first run through of the timeline.
Yeah, and then he ended up having radiation poisoning throughout the rest of the movie.
It says the geeky guy's name's Jeremy and the other one's Justin.
Oh, okay. Huh, I mean, I think Iraq Jack was just a nickname the town gave him, so yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So Justin Jack might be around. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
I laughed when they said Iraq Jack. I'm like, oh, no.
Oh Jesus.
As the pair sit atop a windmill, she tells him that the world will end soon, but he knows that already. The next morning, she wakes up outside and sees that a meteorite has crashed into the windmill.
So this is also a part where it wasn't like a Donnie Darko 1 thing where it was like an already dead person. It wasn't like Sam necessarily telling her that the world ending. It was like that dude with the gunshot in the first one, the dead dude talking to Donnie or whoever the fuck he was talking to. It was more like ethereal or whatever. Like it had like a weird ethereal voice that when she talked and shit. So it was like a ghost. Or he even mentioned that he saw that he was talking to her dead in the future or something like that, I think, before.
Right. Well, like because the Frank kid in Donnie Darko, I'm assuming that you're talking about the guy with the rabbit ears, right?
Yeah.
There's
some dead people talking to people in that first one, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing that was kind of going on throughout the whole thing was like Donnie Darko was because it was about like it was like some kind of thing was happening that like he'd experienced, you know, prior and was like going through the motions of and stuff, which was like kind of how it was like how it kind of became like a metaphor for depression, because it was about this character who just felt doomed, and except in his case he actually knew he was doomed, you know, and because he was stuck in this loop, and the only way to break the loop was to, you know, was to kill himself, basically, was to let himself die, you know, is the metaphor for like the suicide, which is what he meant by like not getting up from bed and sleepwalking. Instead, he chooses to stay in bed and then let the jet engine crush him, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's basically that's pretty much the first movie. So, and so, but throughout the loop that he's stuck in, the Frank character is sort of like the reoccurring sort of omen that is sort of giving this prophecy.
Yeah, and that's what Sam, the dead version of Sam, was too.
Yeah,
because it showed her at how she died, kind of, you know, like the Sam did, or Frank did, and that kind of like not like showed like the aftermath body, where at least she had the fucking thing sticking out of her head the whole time while she was talking to Iraq Jack.
Yeah. Anyway.
A series of mysterious encounters and events follows. A geeky guy, Jeremy, is interested in buying the meteorite and chats with Samantha. Randy tells of how he misses his younger brother who has disappeared and is feared dead. During a strange episode, Samantha takes Justin to the local church and commands him to burn it. The next day, police find Justin's dog tags in the ashes.
The ghost Samantha told him to,
Yeah. This does not tell you the difference.
Delineate, because it's reading it would be confusing, because there is the Samantha going out or walking around while Iraq Jack's seeing the dead one.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
And I also just wrote down this Iraq Jack looks like he's straight out of 2020. He's like, you first see him mostly like wearing a face mask and shit and all like bundled up and whatnot.
Yeah, which I think when they made the movie at the time, they were trying to kind of indicate that like he was suffering from some severe type of thing. But when you look at him now, it's like everybody looks that way. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Samantha meets Jeremy, who is showing signs of radiation exposure from the meteorite. Justin is forging a bunny skull mask to help his princess. Samantha tells Corey she wants to get out of town, but the two argue bitterly. Samantha runs away, and she is knocked down in a car crash.
Yeah, that's like I wrote down. Oh, damn! That like throughout she was kind of bitchy, but like her friend Corey was, you know, maybe not necessarily bitchy, but you know, sassy, you know. Or
she was kind of like an aggressive free spirit, you know.
Yeah, yep. And then in that scene, she was just a straight up, you know, meanie,
awful. It's like
it was like,
when did she become the villain?
Like out of nowhere too. Like that's one. Like I don't know what the fuck they were. Like she just started yelling at her. Like her brother died, and she's still getting over. Like sure, 7 years later, but like throughout, she was like making fun of her for being a mopey mope. But like, if your brother dies, that could be a hard thing to get over. That could take like decades to get over. Like Jesus, this chick was mean.
Yeah, and also to have him die in that way too. It's like. Ugh.
Yeah, and then yeah, like when she walked off and gets hit, like because of Corey just yelling at her like mean and saying bad, like not bad stuff, but like mean stuff. Like
like it was so mean. I don't even remember what it was, but like she.
Right. It was so mean. The other people in the car even said, "Get the fuck out of my car," and kicked her out too before they drove off.
Yeah,
and they're like Jesus, get the fuck out! Get the fuck out of my car.
And they drive up, and then she gets so Sam's dead.
Rip.
Title character passed away.
So the not Robert Pattinson drives into her almost. Like we drive near her, but like a car comes out of nowhere and smashes it, and you don't really see how she gets hit, but I assume the car smashed Robert Pattinson into her, and then she got killed that way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, basically. So.
Anguished about her best friend's death, Corey goes through Samantha's effects, including a book about time travel and a story Samantha wrote as a child about a princess and a boy named Justin.
Wasn't there like a unicorn there too, or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The unicorn that only Justin could see.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! That's because she had that thing sticking out her head.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right. You see, I didn't put two and two together, but now
I just got it now.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. No, that actually makes. Thanks for saying that, because now that aspect makes sense to me.
Yeah. Figuring it out here.
All right. Cool. So we're slowly, putting the puzzle pieces together.
After a strange boy commands Corey to come with him to save Samantha, she follows him to a cave into a portal that takes her back in time. Everything moves backwards to when Samantha is walking down the road.
Corey, oh yeah, that strange boy also was the missing one, the Bobby.
Yeah, the kid who like fell down the well or whatever.
Yeah. Which was a subplot that didn't get a real ending that it should have.
Yeah, it never got resolved. He's still in the well at the end of the movie.
No, they kind of ended it.
But then they went back in time again.
Yeah, they did. But like, so, all right, just continue from where we left off. Then, yeah. We'll get to that, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Because again, I saw it, so I kind of know what happens and how it happened.
No, I'm glad. I'm really am. You're like, you guys are like my guide right now, because I didn't know what the hell this movie was. Like,
yeah, I just stopped. Yeah, so
good.
Corey and Randy drive up to Samantha again, and Corey is nicer to her. This time, Corey is struck in a car crash. Samantha is devastated by Corey's death. After another sleepwalking incident, she sees a dress in a shop window that she knows from her sleepwalking visions. Samantha wakes up from sleepwalking and finds she is outside with Justin. He tells her the book about time travel was written by his grandmother and says that he made his bunny skull mask from a drawing by Samantha's deceased brother.
And this is the Angry Jack or flat Iraq Jack.
Iraq Jack, yeah.
Flatland Jack.
I was gonna say Flapjack.
Flapjack.
Wandering, Samantha finds the bodies of two dead boys, Randy's little brother and the missing local boy who appeared to Corey, Billy Moorcraft.
Yeah, the boy in the well. She found them. That's what she found is not Robert Pattinson's little brother's bones, and then the little boy that was missing.
Okay.
Apparently cool. a day too late as well.
Yeah, they could have saved him.
Yeah. Oh well.
They just found him earlier.
Well,
but she got like a hero's welcome when she went into that diner, which by the way, like I noticed like they were outside like smoking or something. It was like a Mexican food, like Mexican American food thing, but on the inside it was just like a diner.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little silly.
Yeah, that's weird.
The townspeople assume that Justin is responsible for the deaths, and police take him into custody. That night, Samantha gets the dress as a gift from Jeremy, and he asks her on a date. On a hilltop, they see glowing tesseracts falling from the sky. He becomes manic and violent with Samantha, pushing her so hard that she falls and lies motionless. And by that, it means she hit her head on that dude's mask.
Yep, got a little metal in her temple.
Yeah, well, they had to figure out some way to have it happen, I guess.
Yeah.
Samantha visits Justin in jail. Randy tries to find her as fiery tesseracts fall from the sky. Justin puts on his mask, which makes him go back in time. He climbs the windmill that was destroyed at the beginning. Justin believes that his death will prevent the series of events that will lead to the end of the world. He stays on the windmill and is killed by the meteorite. It is now the morning after the meteorite landing again. Samantha and Corey visit the site and find the locals are saddened as they take away Justin's body. Samantha, never having experienced the events after the meteorite crash, decides to go back home while Corey stays in the small town with Randy.
So basically they had to basically get themselves killed in order for this guy to go back and get killed by a meteor.
Much like Donnie Darko, really. What it happens is the first meteorite that we see in the first one was the guy was sitting there like Donnie Darko in his bed, but he gets off before the meteorite strikes and it makes it out, right? And then we have that scene where Corey has to redo her life to make Sam live, like redo that whole fucking car crash scene. And what's noted is that why they're stuck in the Hodunk town is that their car broke down, and similar to like the jet engine falling off a tow truck, the car's fixed and they're bringing it somewhere or something, I assume, but it gets detached from the tow truck and flies into another one of those black holes. And then the black hole spits it out, and that's why it came out of nowhere, essentially, in those two instances, because it came out of that black hole just like the jet engine did.
Okay.
So that's what I got from that. So they had to save Sam. Corey had to kill herself or sacrifice herself to save Sam, so that Sam could die by a unicorn stabbing, so that she could warn the flapjack guy fucking that he's the only one that can save the world, and you have to stand here and die by this meteor at the end. It was like a lot of back and forth time travel that was more reminiscent of the first Donnie Darko, but not as it was kind of just like a retelling-ish more. Just different character, different circumstances.
Yeah, and a lot more convoluted because
a couple more people had to travel back and forth in time instead of just like Donnie.
Yeah, which is like, oh man,
like three people had to do it.
Yeah, and
it's like,
how did it save the world? How did that save the world?
I don't know how that was not answered. It was just
that was one of
my guy had to die.
Yeah, that was my main question. How did him dying save everything else from falling?
I mean, I gotta say this. I was pretty clueless. The first film was fresh in my head when I was watching this, so it's not like I was expecting it to I wasn't expecting it to be a good movie or anything like that, but I was expecting it to kind of forge at least some kind of connection to the first film, but it didn't really do that. Instead, it just kind of did the same thing, and that's it. And the only sort of connection I had was the the sister. And then that's it, basically. There wasn't really anything else that kind of circled back to anything that happened in the first film. It may as well just be a sequel in name only.
It had the blobs and shit.
Yeah, which I guess, I mean, if you're gonna sort of explore the whole quantum realm or whatever it is they were calling it, that they would show that again, but I don't know. I guess I don't really see the point of making a sequel if you're just gonna try to make the same movie only not as good, I guess. I mean, I don't really know how else to put it. So, and also it was pretty confused. I mean, there were a lot of like, I mean, the first film had a lot of quirky, interesting, weird, offbeat characters in it. And this film sort of had like the same kind of offbeat characters. Elizabeth Berkley shows up.
Yeah.
So, which maybe you know, maybe she was playing the same character that she played in Showgirls and Saved by the Bell. Yeah,
she was in this one?
Yeah, she played the crazy, like she played that religious lady who was talking about saving children.
Okay.
Yeah, like maybe she's like a woman who was ashamed of her past as a showgirl and wanted to, you know, do something great with her life. And,
tying the universes together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because you had the theory about Nomi from Showgirls being the same character as that on Saved by the Bell, and so maybe Saved by the Bell, Showgirls, and S.Darko are the Elizabeth Berkley trilogy.
No shit. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that whole subplot with the kids involving her, I found that more interesting than the rest of the movie.
It was more interesting, and yeah, like the whole thing with the kid in the well or whatever, like if they did go back in time, then what do they like, then what's going to happen with that whole thing? I mean, like we already know that he's going to die, but like
he's just going to die apparently.
It was implied that Elizabeth Berkley killed those kids.
Yeah.
Or no, it was the pastor guy.
Yeah, her husband, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still found
I missed that. I missed that. I didn't know who killed him actually, but yeah.
It wasn't said, it was implied.
Yeah. Well, like I think it's, again, they were trying to kind of do sort of a similar thing that they did with the first film, where you have Patrick Swayze, I think, who in the first movie he's like this kind of a religious icon that the lady in town like kind of worships, and then when Donnie Darko like burns down his house or whatever, it's discovered that he has like obscene, you know, like child porn, and so then the lady who's like obsessed with him or whatever, like she like continues to sort of defend him and say, oh, he's being framed and wronged and all this stuff. So, which actually I thought it was kind of funny that it was Patrick Swayze that got cast in that role. So, because like I always like give people shit for loving the movie Dirty Dancing, because I find that movie really creepy, you know, but you know, but then they kind of tried to do the same sort of thing with this movie, but it was just, I don't know, it just seemed like they were just trying to copy the first film.
Yeah, there wasn't much to it really. He kind of just hit on Sam a little bit, like creepily, of course, but like,
yeah,
he was barely in it, honestly. Like,
yeah, he really wasn't a very important character, you know. So.
Could have cut that whole thing out. To be fair,
there was a lot of things they could have cut out. Would have made it a lot easier to follow, honestly. Like, I don't know. Yeah, this wasn't good.
No.
Nope. You know, oh well. I mean, I guess maybe they just didn't want to like piss off the fans. Like maybe they didn't want to get too ambitious with it. Maybe they just kind of wanted to like play it safe and try to do the same thing. But the thing is, like, if you can't even do it as well as the first film, then you may as well not even try, you know, because then at that point, like, you cast the same girl from the first film as in this movie, and it's kind of a waste, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those sequels that, like, it's just unnecessary. It didn't need to be made. It's kind of like the sequel to Dumb and Dumber, you know? It's just, what was the point, you know? Or the prequel, which is on this list, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is.
Oh, wonderful.
Awesome.
Hey, cool. Yeah. Oh man, excellent. Okay. But yeah, so S.Darko, I don't know. I didn't like it. I'd give it a 1. So.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah, 1. It was so boring and dumb.
Yeah.
I have some little lines for you though.
Oh yeah, let's hear them.
There was one, I mean, little tidbits. There was one thing they were talking to the priest. I don't know how it came up, and they were like, he was asking them to come over, and one of them, I forget who, said, "Till farts taste like cherry." I was like, okay, yeah. And then they were like, "So what do you think God's farts taste like?" And they were just like, "Marshmallow Peeps." It's like, what the fuck?
I do remember that line.
Fucking left field. This like melodramatic fucking sad movies, just like throwing fart jokes around.
Yes.
There was one dumb thing where like the kid ghost was talking to Sam, telling him to follow, and she was like, "Bring the water." And she did, and I don't know why, because she didn't use it. She just kind of dropped it. Like,
Yeah.
Wait, what? I was like, ooh, what is he gonna do with the water? Or I honestly thought, why? There's probably
maybe he was just.
This is no end to game. I knew there was not gonna pay off, and it didn't.
He was
Except
thirsty.
for a cool rewind scene.
With the water, yeah.
Yep.
No, he just wanted the water because he was thirsty.
Makes sense. And then there's a headbutt too. I like the headbutt from the nerd to the not or Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
Fucking headbutted him right, knocked him out cold with a headbutt.
Yeah, that was a character that could have done more. I think the James Dean, Robert Pattinson, Ezra Miller character. Like, I don't know. I mean, he was part of the plot, but he was kind of just there. You're like, that's it. You know.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, go on.
And then the Jessie Spano lady. She described Jesus as like, so who is Jesus to you? And she's like, oh, he's tan, muscly, lightning shoots out of his eyes. I have a special connection to him. I've met him. I've talked to him. And she's like, and lightning shoots out of his eyes.
Oh, jeez. I mean, that's another thing is like, you know, because I feel like, all right, so a lot of people who, you know, thought the first film was just like really weird and described it as weird and stuff like that. Like, I feel like maybe like another reason why I kind of feel like this movie was made by folks who weren't even really paying much attention to the first film is there was just a lot of just kind of strange behavior throughout, just like a lot of strange lines and like just various odd choices that the characters kind of made that didn't really make sense. But the thing is though, like that kind of stuff happened in the first film, but that was really more just part of the atmosphere of the first film. It wasn't intended to like, you know, draw attention to itself. Like there was like purpose behind it. It just, again, it wasn't like intending to be anything more than what it was. Whereas this movie, it kind of felt like they were just throwing that kind of stuff in because they wanted it to be more like the first film, but it didn't really add to the atmosphere. It didn't really even like mean anything.
And like what I just didn't like at all was like at the end of, you know, Donnie Darko, Donnie's in his bed waiting for the jet engine to kill him, and he's, you know, has a, you know, little breakdown, hysterical laughter kind of thing, like like crazy. The fucking Army Jack does it too. I'm like like as the meteor's coming, he looks up and has a crazy laugh, maniacal laugh type thing that Jake Gyllenhaal did as well. Like,
yeah,
like you just like why? That's just a blatant copy. You didn't have to do that stupid crazy laugh. Just
there was no reason for it. It wasn't even part of the character.
No, it was.
I was gonna say, and then the whole cast looks up too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
In this it's just silly. It's like, ugh.
And I was confused initially at like, is the nerd the only one seeing the shit dropping from the sky? But then eventually no, because it was all falling around everyone and they're dodging it and shit. Because it seemed like Sam didn't realize what was going on when the dude was like, "Do you see this shit? The Tesseracts?" And she was like, "What are you talking about?" But apparently, because like fucking Army Jack dodged a few when he was coming over.
Yeah, Iraq Jack.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of an outdated name now, but oh well.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's
and one more thing too that I noticed.
Oh yeah.
Throughout the whole movie, they're shitting on Iraq Jack as a the one who probably killed him all throughout the whole thing. But at the very last end, when he actually dies by the meteor, like there's a first scene, like in the first scene when the meteor hits and Jack didn't die. The hotel dude, like, you know, he's very familiar, and I liked him in something, I don't remember what, but
that's John Hawkes. He was the only actor in this movie like with a familiar, like who
actually has a career.
Oscar.
Yeah, he has an Oscar.
Well, I think he won.
I wouldn't
for
put
whatever it was.
Yeah. He's been in real good movies, so yeah.
Yeah.
He wanted to buy it, but like the nerd bought it first. Like he was mentioning to the guy that owned the windmill, he's like, "Oh, this is gonna cost me so much money to repair," and he was like, "Well, you got a goddamn meteorite over here. You could sell this to some nerds for a fortune." Yeah. In the first scene, he was like, "You really think so? Holy shit, that's awesome! Yeah." And then when it hit after the whole finale, the soldier died. He suggests the same thing, and the guy that owned the windmill was like, "Dude, this Jack guy died here. Have some sympathy." Like after the whole movie, they're shitting on him for believing he's a murderer. But no, they just had to change a heart because he got fucking hit by a meteor now.
Yeah. Which
like, he was a good guy. He like the cop, because the cop took the, like, there's a scene where fucking like you mentioned in the read up, he sets the church on fire. He picks the cops, you know, are looking through investigating, picks up and sees that it's Jack's dog tags are left there. And then it's another like little callback at the end. He picks the same officer picks it up and is more reminiscent looking, instead of, "Oh fuck this guy," is more, "Oh damn, R.I.P." So it was like a stupid like, because they all hated that guy. Even before like any of the shit was going down, they hated him for what seeming to be months or years. He was like the town pariah. But
I mean, I want to pretend that they were trying to make a comment about how people in the military don't get any appreciation unless they're dead. But the thing is, though, like, I don't really know if this film like is really intelligent enough to really solidify that message. So it was like, ugh.
Yeah, but didn't really pull it off. I think that's what they were going for, but it didn't pull it off.
Yeah, it just came across as obnoxious, you know. And actually, and just to kind of tie things together just a little bit tighter, you know, just to kind of end on just sort of one final little, you know, note, you know, another fan theory that John Hawkes, since this movie took place in what year? Like
95.
95.
It took place in 95. Yeah.
Okay. And From Dusk Till Dawn, that movie was made in 1996, right? So maybe John Hawkes is playing the gas station guy who gets burned to death at the beginning of that movie.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Like he moved to another gas station somewhere, and then like
too much crazy shit happening here.
Yeah. And he encountered George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, and then he blew up his gas station. Because it is kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, it's a little bit of a coincidence that John Hawkes plays a gas station attendant in two different movies. I mean, let's
he was a hotel attendant in this one.
Oh, that's right. Okay, never mind then. My theory's out the window.
No, he wanted a career change. That's all.
That's it. Yeah. He quit the hotel business and became a gas station attendant.
Yeah,
and then got blown up.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts from either of you?
Not about it for me.
Okay. Well, so that was S.Darko, and that's about it. So not recommended, you know. Nah. Of course it's on the bottom 100, so you know.
Does it deserve its place?
Oh, good question. Does it deserve its place?
I think it.
You see, my problem with it is that by being on the bottom 100, that means that people know it exists, and this is the type of movie that's not really interesting enough in my opinion, to have people deserve that people know that it exists, like, or to deserve that to even be seen. Like, it's not bad enough. It's bad, but it's not bad enough to be good enough. You know, like I think the films on the bottom 100 should all be films that are like like bad on like really incredible levels that are just like, like
technical levels. Even like this one was technically a competent film. You know, I don't know if competent's the right word, but like
technically
like a movie.
Speaking, it fell into the category of being good enough, you know, like it was well made, but that's only because like it was a sequel to Donnie Darko. Like, it had to be well made.
So I mean, I assume, like, I would say it probably doesn't deserve to be on here. It wasn't anything remarkable, maybe like in the 120s, but like just because it was boring as fuck and just derivative of the first one. And I assume just it got downvoted from the first fanboy, the Donnie Darko fanboys hating on it.
Yeah.
I think so. Is this bottom 100 critic based or audience based? Are we assuming just audience?
Yeah.
I bet a bunch of fanboys just downvoted it.
Yeah.
Make it.
Hit that. Yeah. It's a piece of crap, but it's not a piece of shit. Of course.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
So, all right. Cool. Well, so yeah, on that note, yeah, that's really about all I think we got. So,
yep.
So until next time, have a good night, and that's all. Don't watch S.Darko.
No, not worth it.
All right, bye.
So yeah.